Yes, I'm talking about I Am Weasel because why the hell not? I remember when this started off as a spin off of Cow and Chicken, kind of like a co series, pretty much. Kind of like how you had the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Evil Con Carne kind of paired together as Grim and Evil for a short while. Mostly because they were created by the same person, easier to kind of have them paired together to make one series. I kind of miss people kind of doing that kind of stuff. But I Am Weasel was fun initially because it was I Am being, this all around super genius, and IR Baboon constantly being this screw up who would at times try to underplay a lot of I Am's efforts. And I Am Weasel never had any ill will towards Baboon. He just wished Baboon would think things through a little bit more, as he would constantly be trying to upstage Weasel in whatever possible way he could. And it was always funny initially because, it's one of those classic series. You have the smart one and you have the dumb one. The real interesting part of the series came in as it went along, as the other stupidity of the people at large made it so that I Am was a bit more infallible. He failed a lot more often, or people tended not to take his advice seriously, or they just ignored him in general. And that always took me off guard as time went on, because it's just like, man, people in this universe are real idiots. And, it wasn't bad that you saw the weaker moments for Weasel. That wasn't a bad thing. You see that a lot in a lot of series. You would see that in Angry Beavers with Dorbert and Daggett. Oh, you saw it even more recently in stuff like the Looney Tunes show. It's essentially what Bugs and Daffy had going. That's why I never was dismissive of the series, because it's just like, dude, I've seen this series before. I enjoy these series. It's always a bit of a tightrope act when you start to get to that point, because it happens to every series where you have the perfect one and you have the dumb one who's trying to be perfect, who thinks they're perfect, who's all about themselves but they aren't. And it always happens that smart one starts to be in more situations where they tend to fail as time goes on, because the creators get tired of constantly having the dumb one constantly lose. It gets a little bit boring. It gets very predictable. But I always feel like they go too far in the opposite direction, where the smart one is the only smart one, the only person with common sense. And sometimes you have to make logical leaps in order to make them fail. And you're not really so much exposing their weaknesses that we don't see much of. You're just making the world around them pretty much out to get them to a certain degree. And that's what kind of felt like the direction they were going in for I Am Weasel. It was almost like the world was out to get Weasel, and people were just not listening to him when he was speaking the truth. And I guess that's almost a commentary on the world today, where it's just like you try so hard to make people see logic and reality and not go down this path of, no, you idiot, do not do that. Don't you understand how stupid that is? But we as a people tend to kind of give in to our lesser instincts that just lead us into more trouble and more problems. It was a funny and interesting premise for its time, especially for me, because I was young when this came out. I was like 6 when this series really got off the ground, so it was just a fun thing to watch at the time. But by the time it ended, I was much older, And it did kind of get weirdly frustrating to me that Weasel, who was just this smart, intelligent entity, you had so many characters who seemed to just follow Baboon and his dumb antics a lot of the time. Which, I mean, I guess that says more about me that I became frustrated by a kid's show. But, I mean, it was a series that seemed practical in the beginning that had to become more and more impractical as time went on. And the series had kind of taken over a cow and chicken slot where the red guy a lot of the times would be featured and he would be the bad guy, and sometimes Weasel needed Baboon in order to be able to overcome the red guy because reasonable thinking wouldn't win over against the red guy because he was almost just as clever as Weasel. So you needed someone kind of out of the box in order to overcome the red guy. And I wish we kind of got a little bit more of that. But then again, maybe it wouldn't have been the same series. I guess for me, with a series like this, I would have gone in a direction where, yes, Weasel's genius overcomes everything in the beginning, but then over time, he needed someone who thinks out of the box, and they kind of had to work together. And then Baboon did get the credit he deserved because he was instrumental in seizing the day, but it didn't completely push Weasel completely out of the spotlight, or it was something where Weasel just allowed Baboon to have the spotlight because deep down Weasel was a good person. I know. Dumb as all get out. Why are you taking this so seriously? It's a cartoon that is like over 20 years old at this point. Move on with your life. But it's just this fun series that I enjoyed when I was younger and experienced a lot of when I was growing up. And I guess I think about it because it was airing at a time when I was starting to form my own thoughts and opinions on certain things as I was growing up. And I started to think about a lot of the logical fallacies behind it. And it was just like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening and not this? Didn't before this happen and not this? Stuff along those lines. So, I mean, I guess it really does go to show that even, being 6, and I think this series ended around when I was about, I want to say 9 or 10. So I had about 3 solid years of watching this series where I just was growing, aging, and developing, and starting to kind of come to the realization of how I felt about certain things. I wasn't just watching to watch, I was watching because I enjoyed certain aspects, and some of those aspects were starting to be lost on the series over time. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you watch I Am Weasel when you were younger? Do you still remember it? Did you run into the same issue I had, or did you just never really think about it like that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.